resolving the local versus global debate and some clinical considerations. Now then, the perceptual monitoring theory, higher order theories, and the left hemisphere interpreter model can all be considered to be rather moderate positions between the local and global extremes. These theories are somewhat related, but we're going to focus in on the perceptual monitoring theory for now because it fits in well with the modern neural network models from both neuroscience and computer science. So how does the perceptual monitoring theory address the shortcomings of the local and global theories? Well, unlike the local theories, it accounts for why the PFC activity might be involved in conscious perception. The theory posits that there might be circuits in the PFC performing functions akin to an adversarial discriminator. This notion is supported by studies on the neural mechanisms of metacognition. These circuits are not there to broadcast the sensory signals globally, so damaging them may not change performance in simple visual tasks. It also supports the kind of inflation accounts for unattended experiences that we discussed in Class B. Inflation can happen when the adversarial discriminator mistakes weak sensory signals as strongly representing the details of the world right now. The adversarial discriminator is not infallible. It makes mistakes, but these mistakes determine our consciousness all the same. If the theory is right, perhaps we should expect damage to the PFC to not only influence metacognition, but to also ultimately change subjective experiences in dramatic ways. And importantly, it should change our rational thinking regarding the world. Incidentally, in psychosis, patients often experience hallucinations. Antipsychotic drugs given to patients with schizophrenia typically target the neurotransmitter dopamine, which strongly modulates PFC functions. Furthermore, if the theory is right, we expect that conscious and unconscious processing are not mapped onto separate pathways. In fact, the same sensory representation can be conscious or unconscious depending on how it is interpreted by the adversarial discriminator. This could mean that unconscious treatments might be possible, like the ones described in Class C using decoded neurofeedback. This last point is important because ultimately, if a theory is true, it should also be useful. It should guide us to develop better treatments for mental disorders related to consciousness. And this is one way for us to decide whether certain theories are better than others. So to summarize, that is how the perceptual reality monitoring theory answers the first three of the four central questions of consciousness. Are there subjective experiences outside of attention? Yes, but they may be inflated without meaningful details. We might think that we have the details, but we really don't. We need attention to get those details. Does consciousness require the PFC? Yes, but it's not for broadcasting the signal, just for interpreting what it means. So damage to the PFC might not necessarily make people go blind. Importantly, both the PFC and early sensory signals are important. The former helps to interpret the latter. Is consciousness needed for higher cognitive functions? Only for some of them, specifically the formation of rational beliefs, but many tasks don't need that. Now, what about question 4?